Welcome everybody to the Candle Enthusiast. This is Smell It Sunday, a live stream that we do on Sundays where we sit down and we talk amongst ourselves about candles, aromatics, other things that make us feel nostalgic, things that we have in common. This is a place where not only do I get to sit down and talk about candles, but we have a little chit chat with us here, this little community, the Candle Enthusiast community. And I just want to remind everybody that this is my second channel, Aromatically speaking. Excuse me if I keep hearing me say this, but I want to make sure that everyone knows that if you are a subscriber of the Candle Enthusiast, my main channel, that you swing over to Aromatically Speaking, subscribe, click that little bell to be notified whenever a live stream comes up like this or whenever I post a candle evaluation, because this second channel is going to be my new home for all of my candle content, where the main channel, the Candle Enthusiast, it's going to be all of my more edited videos, my travel destination videos where I highlight different companies and I go out on the road and I host interviews, all of those things. And there's plenty of new videos, new content coming to the main channel. But for this channel, this is for us to chill out, hang out, have lives, and talk about candles. And that's exactly what we're going to do today. We're going to be talking about Yankee Candle. With Easter, really, how far are we looking here? We're only about a week away from Easter, and most of us are quarantined. We're stuck in our houses these days, and it's going to make a different. It's going to make it a different holiday this year. That is certainly the case, and I thought we would do a little pre-Easter celebration, since you guys may be with your friends or family next weekend. I have a brand new Yankee Candle for 2020. You've probably seen it a long time ago. It came out. It's going to be called, let's see if I get it right, Sweet Bunny Carrots. Now, this is a kind of fragrance that I'm always asking, in my head, I'm asking Yankee Candle to be bold enough to do. This one is definitely stepping out of Yankee's comfort zone. I think that's safe to say. To have a carrot scented candle, love it. But I also have a very old Yankee Candle. I'm going to share with you one candle from my own personal collection. It's now retired, but this one is pretty old. It's and Black Band. It's the Carrot Cake fragrance, and I thought we would do a little bit of the new, a little bit of the old, and we are going to be playing around with the the Aroma Prison today. For those of you who don't know who that is, just hang out. You'll see what that is all about. Let me pull you folks up, because that's always the first step in this process. We are going live, so you guys can chime in, talk amongst yourselves. I'm going to be addressing some of the questions that appear in the chat area on YouTube. Hello, everybody. I see you folks. And Michelle says, I'm actually burning this right now, which I'm guessing Michelle's talking about the Sweet Bunny cake, or the Sweet Bunny Carrots. I'm going to get this name wrong on this live at least a couple times. Lauren is making dinner, but she is listening. Hello, Lauren. Hello, Mark. Danny. Hello, Mark. Hello, Western Massachusetts. All right. We got Nikki from Washington Wicks in the house, and we also have James. And James is saying, hope you're staying safe and well. Thanks for another show. It's my pleasure. Like I said on my last live, if this whole quarantine thing goes on for much longer, I think I'm just going to do a couple lives a day. And it may not always be about candles. Maybe we'll just have a sit-down chat and just spend a little bit of time with one another. Because I'm sure if you're anything like me, are experiencing a little bit of that good old cabin fever. So let's jump into this candle so that we don't waste any more time. If anyone's wondering, the coffee that I am drinking, I will be talking about that soon. All right, so I bought this good 4 weeks ago, and I smelled it in the shop at my local Yankee Candle, or one of my local Yankee Candles, I should say. Let's see if we can get a good focus here. And, you know, if this was, you know, just maybe something along the lines of, you know, a spicy carrot pastry or, you know, carrot cake kind of thing, which I probably, you know, I thought it might be, I probably maybe would have passed on it this year. But because this was so unique, I'm like, all right, you know, I didn't even think about whether or not I liked it. I just purchased it on the spot with cherry lemonade, the returning, what are they calling it now? Returning classics, returning favorites, returning treasures. It's too hard to tell. They keep changing the name, but I did purchase that, and I will be talking about that one soon. But on the label, we have that garden wicker basket with carrots that have, yes, they're a little bit dirty. I like it. Maybe they've been washed, but I see a little bit of dirt action. Maybe they've been scrubbed a little bit. They're sitting on that nice country wooden kitchen table. And I'm seeing this for the first time. There is a beet. Do we see that? It's going to be very hard to tell with these webcams. But there is a beet, another root vegetable, underneath those carrots. I was wondering what was giving this label so much red. Let's see if that's reflected in the candle at all. So I'm going to smell this cold, and then I'm going to melt this in the Aroma Prison. I'll evaluate the aroma in both scenarios, and then I'll share the fragrance notes on Yankee's website if they're available. Man, yeah, I have to say, I was excited. I said I wasn't sure if I liked it or not when I smelled it in the shop, but I was excited that it was so different. You know, again, I think the easy way out of this concept would be just to throw some cinnamon and nutmeg in here, get some vanilla frosting, make this kind of a sweet carrot muffin, carrot cake kind of fragrance. But this is not a fresh fragrance. This is not a fruit fragrance. This is really something that steps outside the box. Yankee, if you're listening, just do it. Even if people hate these, just do it, in the hopes that people will expand just expand their aromatic experience in general, expand their home fragrance experience. If these options aren't available for folks, these oddballs, then we're just going to be purchasing the same genre of candle over and over and over again. So my little tip for Yankee, and if you're the kind who would smell this and go, ooh, I don't like that. Why would I want my house to smell like that? Spend some time with it. Don't be so critical. So there is undeniably a carrot experience that's not a carrot minus heat. There's no cooked carrot here. These aren't sautéed carrots. You know, get a little bit of butter and garlic on in the saucepan. Sauté the baby carrots. No. This is a very much a raw root vegetable experience, and you know, this might seem like an easy way out, but it's the best comparison I can make. I went through a long period of time where I was making fresh carrot juice for myself, but also my coworkers. I had a really good juicer at the time, and I would just bring in like these huge containers of fresh carrot juice, and we loved it. We were convinced it gave us energy, had a little bit of sugar to pick us up. We were trying to cut down on the coffee, but the process of juicing carrots, you will smell this in the candle. It is this, whether it's a masticating juicer or whether it's a centrifuge juicer, you get this concentrated, watery carrot juice experience. And for me, I don't know where that might take you. I mean, I'm guessing a lot of folks would be like, carrot juice. Give me orange juice. Forget about the carrot juice. Well, carrot juice is still really sweet, and it's really viscous. It's got good weight to it. It certainly does have a lot of nutrients into it, but more than that, it really does taste good, and it tastes fresh, and it tastes healthy. I think just drinking it in the morning was just made you feel better. It made me feel better, and I think my first experiences with drinking carrot juice in the morning wasn't up by my coworkers where I was working. It was actually down in Los Angeles, and we would go to this super healthy kind of dive. I would say greasy spoon, but everything was healthy on the menu. And they would serve, the acai bowls, and everything was vegan, and they would serve fresh carrot juice. And this brings me back to those experiences. It was right on the beach, right in Marina del Rey in the greater Los Angeles region on Washington Boulevard. Buna Cafe? Cafe Buna. Switch the words. If anyone's been there, let me know. But and I hope they're still there. It was actually quite a long time ago. But bringing me to a breakfast setting for sure. Long way to say that. But there is some herbaceous notes here, and that's important to mention. There's, and I'm probably going to touch on this in just a second, but keep this in mind. Some pickling spices. Okay, don't think of dill pickle. Don't think of dill pickle. Think of, the kosher pickles, ones that have, the peppercorns. Sometimes they have juniper berry, they have tons of garlic. The kind of pickles that are still really firm and crisp and actually maintain a lot of the natural cucumber smell. And I think that's where I'm going to go here. There is cucumber here. It's just how do we want to define the cucumber? And strangely, I've been saying cucumber on a lot of candles recently. But this is, what do we call them? Is it, the English cucumbers, the ones that actually look like pickles and the ones that are used to make pickles. And I'm not so much getting just the green of the pickle, but it's that center line, that center right down in the middle of the cucumber, the pickle, where all of the seeds manifest, especially if it's the cucumber's overripe and the seeds really become a little bit softer, a little bit mushier. They're a little bit more pliable inside that cucumber. It is a distinct smell, and there is no question that this is a cucumber-forward fragrance. And I know that everyone knows who's looked into this candle knows that they're promoting this candle as having cucumber in it, so that's going to be somewhere in the fragrance notes. I'm pretty sure of it, but I think it's to say cucumber and walk on would be a little bit of a mistake, because it's specific. It's almost borderline pickle. Just don't think of kosher pickle. Nothing vinegar about this. If anything, salty. The brine, not the saltiness. And there is, I mean, what on earth can I describe as, like, there is no such thing as a candy carrot, is there? I don't think so. There's no such thing as a carrot ice cream. There could be. So let's go there. Let's imagine we take a vanilla ice cream base, a vanilla bean ice cream base, and we make a carrot ice cream, like a shredded carrot ice cream. I think that's actually a great idea. And the reason why I'm saying that is because the carrot, the way I'm smelling this, the way I'm perceiving this, is very sweet, much more sweet than something as simple as like a baby carrot. You know, baby carrots, right? They're sweet. They're more sweet than, you know, the larger carrots, the exterior of the larger carrots. It's sweeter than that. And that's really coming through. And I specifically said vanilla bean ice cream because there is that French vanilla that comes through. And sometimes you can smell like a vanilla with its other ingredients, and your mind will register it as a warm vanilla, and sometimes it'll register as a cold vanilla. It depends. I mean, it's subjective, right? But it depends on where the candle brings you. And for me, because this has that fresh carrot, that you know, reminding me of that carrot juice in the morning, cold glass with ice cubes. This vanilla is coming across as cold, and it's, you know, it's just a very pleasant and refreshing experience in the most odd way. And there's a fruitiness too that should be talked about. It's just, how am I going to be creative enough to talk about it? I think the best way, I could probably start throwing some candies, sodas your way, and it'd be like, oh, there Shane goes again with his candy references. But I think to be really true and honest to this candle and the way I'm perceiving it cold is, I'm going to do honeydew melon. And, you know, honeydew melon has that cucumber water aroma. Depending on how ripe it is, depending on how ripe it is, obviously depends on how sweet it is. So imagine an underripe honeydew melon. So it has the fruitiness, but not necessarily the sweetness. And I know I just said this candle has tons of sweetness, but like I said, I'm perceiving that as more of the vanilla sweetness, like a cane sugar sweetness, where this is not like a juicy, ripe fruit, you know, the juice dripping down your face. This has kind of an underripe melon fruit quality, especially the part of the melon that's really close to the rind, where, you know, it gets very pale in color. There is green. There's definitely green notes. What's a good one? It seems wet. In my head, I'm seeing like leafy greens floating in water in like an aluminum bowl, you know, to kind of reconstitute those leaves. If you ever have dried lettuce of any kind in the fridge, just throw them in some water. They'll absorb that water and become a little bit more lively, a little bit more crisp. Let's do it. I don't care. Let's do it. Let's go with, kale, mustard greens, and what I'm really just trying to express is the chlorophyll nature of leafy greens. I'm not going to say spicy greens. I'm not going to say arugula. I'm not going to say endive. Definitely not the scenario here, but it does have the leafy stems of like the carrot, right? So not just the carrot, but the carrot top as well. My impressions, I like it. I really like it. I don't know if this one, if someone said they're burning this. Let us know in the chat area. I'm about to melt it, but tell us if this one really blossoms or blooms in the living space. You know, is this something that's subtle that your nose will detect from time to time? Or does this have some intensity to it? Because on cold, the intensity is, you know, I would say a solid medium minus for Yankee Candle. But the ingredients are so unique that it really, it shines. But I wonder if it blossoms when it's lit. Well, we're going to find out in just a second about this, because we're going to break out the Aroma Prison. And for you folks who don't know what the Aroma Prison is, well, let me show you. I have a hot plate that is barely going to reach, so I'm going to keep it on the floor. It's a pink hot plate. I'm going to crank this. It's already been on a little bit, but I'm going to crank it up all of the way. And I have a tiny little saucepan with just a little bit of water in there, just a little bit. Gonna get that going. We're not gonna get that boiling, but we're gonna get that pretty hot. And then we have a brand new mason jar. I cleaned them when I got them. It smells pretty neutral to me. And so what we're gonna do is we're going to take about 5 grams of the wax of this candle, and we're going to put it into that mason jar. We're going to close the lid to that mason jar, and then we're going to melt that wax. And what that'll do is trap all of the airborne fragrance oil. It's going to become volatilized. It's going to turn into vapor, and it's going to be trapped inside of this mason jar. And once it's all melted, bam, I can pop the top, and we'll be able to get a concentrated version of what this candle smells like in its melted state. So let's do that now. We have a trusty knife that's not as sharp as it should be. Kids, be careful. Actually, kids, don't do this. Have your parents do this, please. I don't want to get in trouble. The best thing I've found is to just, if you're ever doing the Aroma Prison at home, don't cut a chunk out. If you're using paraffin wax, just do one of these twist things. See that? Because that's going to give you really itsy bitsy crumbles, which means it's just going to melt a whole lot faster. Let's see how much I should be using. I usually have a digital scale here because I like to stay as scientific as I possibly can, making up for dropping out of chemistry and physics in high school. Walked into my chemistry class, and not kidding, my chemistry teacher knew who I was, small high school, and she looked at me and she said, "You sure you're in this class?" Meaning, "Shane, you sure you want to take this class?" That's what she wanted to say. And I looked at my schedule. I was in that class. And I said, you know what? Maybe I should go check. And I went and I changed my classes around. And instead of taking chemistry, I took digital photography. Bam. All right, so now that should be plenty. We have those itsy bitsy crumbles. Let's lock that up. I'm going to put this into that saucepan, which is already starting to bubble up a little bit. And we should have some melted wax in no time. Let me check in with you folks in the comment section. Has anyone burned the bunny cake? Excuse me, the bunny cupcake from Yankee Candle. I haven't burned it. I smelled it. And although that is like, you know, that's my kind of candle. I love cupcakes. I love cake candles. It just didn't seem too unique to me to spend the money, the $30 in the store. Maybe I'll pick it up during, the semi-annual sale. We'll see how it goes. Laura says, "Hi all, I got my Cabernet and I'm ready for candle talk. I love the Yankee Sweet Carrots candle, by the way. Good to know, and enjoy that Cabernet. And if Laura, you want to share what Cabernet you're drinking, I'd love to know." Lauren says, farmer's market vibe. That's a good way to describe it. I like that. I wish I said it. It does have that feel, like you're among a lot of root vegetables, a lot of baskets filled with carrots and beets. Beets was in that label. I didn't check to see if I smelled that. Eric is working out. He's doing some hardcore lifting while listening to the Candle Enthusiast. That's dedication. Excuse me if I skip anybody. Sweet potatoes. I think you're talking about something else, Carol. No, just to be clear, I think Carol and Lauren were talking about something else. But as soon as I saw sweet potatoes, I'm like, oh my god, is there a yam quality in here? I wasn't sure at first, but after smelling it right there, I don't think there is. But that would have been a great description if it was. Hello, everybody joining in. And you guys are making me hungry with all the things that we're cooking. I bought it with the stuffing one and the cranberry sauce. We talking about the I'm trying to think of the name of that Thanksgiving candle. I love it. I bought a bunch because it was like back in the day. It was on sale like at a ridiculous cost in a regular retail. It wasn't even a semi-annual sale. And it's become a tradition. I burn it on Thanksgiving every year. And I really do wish I had... It was Turkey and Stuffing was the name of it. But it was... Yeah, I think it was originally released as a cranberry sauce, yams, and maybe a turkey and stuffing. And you're supposed to like burn all three together to get that Thanksgiving experience. Behringer's Cabernet, says Laura. That's the wine she's drinking. So check this out. The Behringer's estate, the original estate in Napa Valley, on St. Helena of Napa Valley. I lived in their vineyards, within their vineyards. The actual, I mean, they own vineyards all over the world now, but the original estate, the original facility, the one that everyone visits, I lived in their vineyards, and in the middle of the night I could actually see them harvesting the grapes and playing rock and roll music while they were doing so. They harvest in the middle of the night. Yes, that is true. All right, so we have some, that's really making me warm. We have some melted Yankee Candle sweet bunny carrots. Look how pretty that is. Looks like a little shot of Irish whiskey, does it not? Maybe a little bit of scotch in there. I got gin on the mind. Let's give this a sniff. Are we ready? So this, just to repeat myself like for the 100th time, will give us a better perception of what this candle will smell like in its melted state. Woo. Whoa. Wow. Okay, confirmation on everything, but before I open that up even more, spicy. And it feels like baking spice, kind of spicy, but it's not. No cinnamon, nutmeg. I was not getting this on cold. And I specifically said no spicy greens like arugula or endives, you know, the spicy greens. But this has like a cracked black pepper. Not smell, but sensation. That won't be that intense, I'm sure, once it breathes in your living space. But whoa, I almost coughed a little bit, or sneezed, I should say. And there is a fruity, there's a fruitiness in this candle that I was smelling on cold, and now it's amplified, and I still really can't quite put my finger on it. I said honeydew melon, but I have a feeling it's going to be a little bit, Yankee Candle's not going to describe it that way. They're definitely not. I don't know, maybe, no, why would they put honeydew melon in the fragrance notes? Okay, so here's the thing that I commonly talk about. I probably wouldn't put this in an edited video. I have in the past, but there's a descriptor that I use from time to time. And people just, they freak out when I say it. They're like, don't ever say that again because you'll ruin the candle for me. You'll just completely ruin the experience. I love this candle. Why are you trying to ruin it with these descriptions? That is not my objective, to ruin a candle for you. My objective is to really encourage you to be true to your nose, to trust your nose, and to really educate myself on how to describe aromatics. And I put a lot of time and effort trying to figure out what this note is, because I find it predominantly in summer candles, spring and summer candles all of the time. Usually it's a tropical fruit candle, what was the one? The European one, tropical jungle. It was called. Came out in 2018. Coconut guava fusion had a little bit of this. The note that I'm picking up on, just hear me out. Let me be a geek for a second and join me if you wish. Stinky bug. Depending on where you are in the world or in the country, you may or may not have stinky bugs. These bugs, I think, somehow migrated from some other place in the world, and they never really, I don't think they've really adapted well. They don't seem to be very bright or smart bugs. But, you know, when the temperature or the seasons change, they can get into your house. And if you do kill them, or if you accidentally step on one, for example, they exude this oil that is super pungent. And people hate that smell. People say, oh, that's the worst smell in the world. I will argue. I will stand up for the stinky bug and say, you know what? I know that's a defense mechanism they have, that little oil, the stinkies. The stinky oils. But I would make the argument, if that whatever they exude, if that was diluted, it actually would be a very familiar smell. And it actually would not be a bad smell at all. It's kind of fruity, it's kind of floral, it's kind of spicy. And I get this note in candles. And I've tracked it down to coconut in a lot of situations. I don't know what about coconut fragrance oils is giving this off, but a lot of coconut candles have it. If you have a coconut candle, especially Bath and Body Works, pick it up, smell it, see if you get that stinky bug aroma in a very mild way. But I used to call it a tropical grass, in the family of vetiver, in the family of citronella, in the family of lemongrass. You can get this same kind of spice, tingly, peppery spice. So it's definitely not coconut. I don't think coconut would be in this candle. I'm going to put this back in the water so it melts up again. But a tropical grass, or maybe just a green grass. Maybe it's the green element that's in that candle that I talked about, the chlorophyll, that gives it a little bit of that spice. It's quite nice, but it's really coming through. I smelled it on cold, and I was just gonna skip it because I don't like bringing up the stinky bug situation. But melting it, it was just too big that I couldn't just ignore it. Let's see if there's anything else. But really, this has just confirmed everything that I smelled on cold. Yeah, it's just very authentic. That, if you shave your carrots, the exterior of the carrot that's really dry. It's got a little bit of the dirt on it. It's got a little bit of the root systems growing out of it. There's an authenticity to that. So the label on this candle, I think, is it's spot on. I wish almost the picture didn't have them like cleaned off. I wish they really looked like they were just pulled out of the dirt, of the soil. Because I don't smell soil on this, but I think that if people saw the dirt on the label, they might smell it in the candle. And I wonder if there's a little bit of like an orange zest. The color is orange. I always say be careful of getting confused when you look at the color of the wax or the color of the wine and letting that sway you or persuade you to pick out things that are the same color. But I am getting more spice here, and I've covered baking spices. Yeah, I wonder if orange zest, I don't see why it would be. Orange zest is in the fragrance notes of this candle. In the Aroma Prison, this candle was quite strong. I have, pretty good, confidence that this will not fill up a huge room, but you will get a wallop. You will definitely get the experience that you smell on cold in a modest-sized living space, bedroom. I think a great place to put this is, the kitchen. You always imagine it on the kitchen, the windowsill. Don't do that. You don't want your fragrance going out the window. But if the air is pulling in through the window, maybe it's fine. But somewhere in the kitchen, and if you have Yankee candles like sea salt and sage, if you have Yankee candles, oh God, it's one of my favorites, and I can't think of it. The help me out, guys. The olive oil, or the olive and thyme candle. Those two alone are great to burn together, but if you want to throw this one into the mix, you'll definitely have this late summer garden harvest experience. Not harvest like apples and pumpkins. We're talking like late summer when you're picking all of those tomatoes and cucumbers from your garden, the herbs, the peppers. I'm quite a fan. I could see a lot of people saying, I'm not going to spend $30 for this. But my point is, if Yankee did this, did a wild card, they did a loose cannon, They threw one bold choice out, even if it was just quarterly, but let's say every collection. I think slowly, a lot of people would start opening up to new ideas instead of. I hate when I see people. I hate it. I hate when I see this, when people go, ugh, no, no, no. And like, I understand if you're allergic to something, but smell it. It's not going to hurt you. It's not going to harm you. Smell the candle. Even if you don't enjoy it, think about it. Think about it. Because, right, we're not just passionate about candles. We're passionate about aroma. I don't know why I said it so creepily like that. All right. So let's check in with you guys. And then we're going to go do a blast from the past. I don't know if a blast from the past is the right way to put it. But we're going to do talk about an old retired Yankee candle in just a minute. I love coconut. Now we'll envision stink bugs. I call them stinky bugs. Stink bugs is probably the correct way to call them, or correct terminology. Okay, so we are all in agreement that stinky bugs are smelly, right? But does anyone get what I'm talking about? Or was I just spewing nonsense? Is there anyone out there can actually be like, you know what? I can kind of see that now. I'm seeing a lot of great comments. I'd love to find a really good tomato leaf scented candle. I got a couple for you. As far as I know, Bath & Body Works only produced it once. I can be wrong. If you're a Bath & Body Works aficionado, step in and correct me. But in 2017, they released one called Tomato Vine. And this one was outrageous. I have some more. I have a couple pricier ones that are really good too. That, to be clear, and I think what I'm not sure. New Wave Queen is trying to say is not the tomato aroma, the tomato leaf. There's an incredibly herbal smell that comes from the leaf. Just go to the grocery store if you don't know what this is. Pick off one of the leaves, the tomatoes on the vine, crumble up the leaves, smell it. You'll know exactly what it is. It's like if you took the best way I can describe the smell is if you take like 1,000,000 celery sticks and you concentrated it into like a shot glass and you smelled it. It has like a very, very, very powerful herbaceous celery aroma. And the Bath & Body Works had a little bit of lemon, a little bit of cracked black pepper. These are my own fragrance notes, but I remember so specifically, and a little bit of, olive oil. So it almost had this tomato leaf meets salad experience. Oh, and Carol's saying Village Candle has a tomato vine candle as well. And I'm trying to think if they ever sent me that. I've never burned it, but I may have had that. But it went out in one of my subscription boxes if I did get it. Gabe says, how am I doing? I'm doing great, Gabe. How are you doing? I'm trying to think of another tomato candle. I have a bunch, but I can't think of the producers. It's right there. There's another one. It was a gift that I opened on one of my lives, and I've never burned it. It smelled wonderful. And there's a company in Napa Valley, a couple who have a very, very small candle company. I don't even know if they do internet sales. Maybe they do now, but I think it's F and R. F as in Frank and R as in Ralph. F and R Candle. Just look around. If you see that they're from Napa Valley, you'll find the right Instagram account. But they have a great tomato vine candle as well. When I was a little girl on my grandmother's property, they would plant a good-sized garden of cherry tomatoes. The smell was very distinct, not the tomato itself, but the plant. Exactly. It's Stephanie, right? Hobble Kitty. Yes, my father had a huge tomato garden, and especially with the cherry tomatoes, you have to get in to the garden to pick these cherry tomatoes, and you got to do it every day. So that smell is just synonymous with late summer and my father. Lucky Shamrock is perfect for me as far as green scent goes. If you can handle it, absolutely. I love Lucky Shamrock, Yankee Candle's Lucky Shamrock. But I just don't think it's ever something I could burn. I have many different releases of it. Nothing in reaching distance. I have at least 2. I may have sold a couple, but it's just very strong. I love to smell it. It's kind of like Edelweiss. I love to smell it. I could never burn them. They're just way too massive for me. Just for me. And it's funny, Lauren's saying, did Witch City Wicks do a tomato one? And weirdly, I was thinking the same thing, Lauren. So maybe I wasn't wrong by thinking that. Maybe they did. I think if it was, she promoted it like once, and that was it. So that might be something to research, because we all love Witch City Wicks. All right. All right, so speaking of Lauren's one of our moderators at on Facebook, the Candle Enthusiast Facebook group. Always love to give this group a shout out. It's a group of wonderful people. I won't say it's a group. I feel like it's a community of people. Very fun, friendly space where we talk about candles, but we talk about a lot of other things. And I think this week, these past 2 weeks, has been a big testament to this group. Because, while we're all sitting at home, some of us not. I don't want to suggest everyone is sitting at home. But for those of us who are, it's to me, it's kind of been a saving grace, to be able to go on and see what everyone else is doing, that, I'm not the only one who's getting cabin fever. And we're going to be doing a question, Q&A kind of segment at the end of the live. And how I do this is on Sunday, I put up a post. Here's the post today. And I say, hey guys, just, leave a question for the Q&A at the end of the live. So not only am I suggesting, if you want to swing over and join the Facebook group, that's going to be the Candle Enthusiast fan group, just because you should. We all need a little bit of positivity in our lives, but also this is a great way to participate in these live shows, and also to keep up to date with anything Candle Enthusiast related, whether that be merchandise, whether that be have nothing to do with Candle Enthusiast things, whether it's inside industry news, like whenever there's a pre-sale on certain candles. It's a great tool to kind of keep on top of the candle world. Everyone's got a Facebook profile. Admit it. Everyone's got one. Go over, request to join. It'll be fun. It really will be. And I also want to give Lauren a shout out, because on the group, I just want to show you my mug. It's got Maleficent there. Look at that. Any Disney fans out there? A little castle tower with Maleficent. Got some dragon power on the other side here. But I posted recently on the group that Blue Bottle Coffee. Blue Bottle Coffee is a coffee roaster that was originally started, was based out of Oakland, California. It's been a coffee company that I've been ordering from for over 5 years. And now there's locations in New York City and Los Angeles, and I'm sure many other hot spots in the country and abroad. But back in those days, there was really only just two locations. But they even though they have grown considerably, they still roast fantastic coffees. They source fantastic coffee beans from all over the world, and they always recreate their classic blends, which is great. But they offer a plethora of single origin coffees at a limited time basis. You know, they get what they can, they make it, they sell it, they move on to the next one. And what they're doing, because they've closed all of the doors, all of their shops to the public, they're offering free shipping. This is not a sponsored plug here, but they're offering free shipping. And if you use my customer code, you can get $10 off too. So free shipping, $10 off. This is insane, right? So, you know, I shared it on Facebook. Lauren took advantage of it. I hope you don't mind me saying that, Lauren. And then somebody else did. I think it was Gregory. It took advantage of it too. And they credited me $10 with each purchase. So I'm totally going to buy like something really fun, and maybe we can start brewing coffee. You know, for you guys who don't know, I'm a huge coffee nut. You know, I spend good 25 minutes every morning making my coffee. It's just, it's a huge hobby of mine, and I would love to somehow incorporate that into these live shows. You know, even if you like basics, you like stick to the basics when it comes to coffee. It's always great to, I think, to learn a little bit more about the differences between coffee. Just the knowledge in general will be kind of cool. If you go into a coffee shop, you actually know with these weird coffee beans that they're selling and how to brew them and many different methods. So I haven't posted it yet, but in the description of this video, I'm going to put that customer code there. I'm not telling anyone to buy anything, but if you're looking to try Blue Bottle Coffee, if you've never purchased anything before, use that code. You get $10 off, you get free shipping. You can get an awesome bag of coffee, a pound of coffee, which usually costs like $19. You can get it for $10 and maybe a couple dollars for tax. So make sure you check out the description or go to the Facebook fan group to find that post where I posted my customer link. And then hopefully we'll be doing coffee content on Smell It Sunday. All right. Does that sound good to you guys? Does anyone like that? I mean, the whole doing coffee on the live streams, not me telling you to buy coffee. They do have... Lauren's asking about espresso. They have an espresso called 17-foot ceiling, which is amazing. I don't think that's their strongest one, or I would say, maybe I shouldn't use the word strong, but darkly roasted. Hayes Valley is, I think, their biggest one in the robust way that I think you mean, Lauren. With that said, I really love good scented coffee, or I love good coffee scented candles. I'm still trying to find a perfect one. I found amazing ones. There's some amazing ones that have been sent my way, but I need that black coffee espresso bean experience. No creamers, no vanillas, no sweetness. But you cannot get essential oil out of a coffee bean. So it has to be fabricated in the form of fragrance oil. So until there's a distributor doing that, I don't know if we'll have my expectations of the perfect coffee candle. Sounds great, but you need to buy a grinder. Jordan, great point. Well, they will ship you ground coffee, but Please don't do that. I don't recommend this either, but if you're really on a tight budget, just go to Target, go on eBay if you don't want to leave your house, buy a used one of those coffee grinders. They're like $10. It's not a burr grinder. It doesn't even grind. It essentially is like a mini food processor. But if you're looking to save money, it's definitely the way to go. If you can spend a couple more dollars, you have a great grinding option in the form of a hand crank. Hario, let me spell it. It's a great company. I buy their vessels, I buy their pour overs, and they have a couple great options for manual cranks. And 1 cup of coffee is only 350 grams. So people are like, oh, this takes too much time. Well, yeah, but I mean, if you're having like specialty coffee, you don't want to be throwing that in your big, well, you can, but you don't want to just be throwing that into your Mr. Coffee. You want to be able to make 1 cup at a time if you can. But we'll kind of learn about that, talk about that on the show. But Hario sells a grinder, I think for $30. It's a little bit of an investment, but it's ceramic, the burr grinder, so you don't have to worry about it getting rusted, or you don't have to worry about it, the sharpness becoming dull. And you can adjust the grind size for, say, an espresso all the way up to French press. I'm not leaving my house for a coffee grinder until this is over. So there you go. Amazon or eBay. Unless you don't want to receive things in the mail either. Oh, and Gregory is here. Yes, Jordan, I bought a pour-over kit from Blue Bottle. That's a nice kit. We'll enjoy that, Gregory. And thank you for using that code. I was really trying to share the code as, help you guys out if you needed coffee. But I realized you guys were helping me out because they credited $10 every purchase to my account. So I want to make sure I return. I don't want to just buy coffee for me. I want to make sure I turn that into content. Coffee shop from Country Candle was a good coffee candle. Not quite like walking into Starbucks kind of smell, but close, says Ray. Yeah, it's tons of coffee fragrances. Yankee, Bath and Body Works. I'm sure it went by other names, but I still have one that's called Seattle. It was a single wick candle. These are all great. The Irish coffee thing was a little bit too chocolatey for me from Yankee Candle. The Cafe Al Fresco by Yankee Candle was kind of the same thing. They're good. I love them. But need that coffee bean. Can the Hario, I think you meant to spell Hario. Can the Hario be purchased on Amazon? Yeah, and I think that's the best place to buy it. Just make sure you're buying it from a reputable seller. I just would be afraid that it's a knockoff or a counterfeit, especially during these times. People trying to rip you off. All of these people come out of the woodwork when horrible things like this happen, unfortunately. All right, let's move on to another candle here. We have... It's funny. I just got notified that I'm live. A little bit late, YouTube. We have carrot cake. Oh, yeah. Come on now. Settle down. Let's see if we can get... Come on. Just this once. Give me a nice focus. That is a very muted, unsaturated look at this label. It's a beautiful label. You can see we have, if I can point to it with my pinky, coffee cup with the steam. What does it say in the back? A jar of cinnamon in the back there. I mean, there's just so many little hidden bits. Look at this right there. Even the coffee. They're not coffee beans. These are raisins. Huh. I don't think I've ever noticed that before. But this is a black band. And again, just in case you don't know, black bands were retired in 2004. And this one is going to be 2000, post-2000. This is a 2004. So this was the last year the black bands. Actually, oh man, why do I always mess this up? This was 2004. I always get those years mixed up. 2007, there was a change in the label. And then in 2008, 2007 to 2008, somewhere around there, we had what we now know as like the classic Yankee label, you know, here we go. To me, I think everyone will recognize this format as always being kind of the golden age of Yankee. Am I right about that? Or is the black band the golden age? Maybe there's two golden ages. So carrot cake. Love it or you hate it, right? Not the candle, but the actual cake. So if this is a 2004, we're looking at this is a significantly old candle. We've smelled candles a lot older than this. But people always ask me, how long can a Yankee candle last for? And it's not easy to answer that question. It all depends on the fragrance, and it depends on when that candle was made. But I smelled this before I started the live. This smells brand new. This is a 16-year-old candle. This is a 16-year-old candle. And there's nothing in this. There's nothing in this jar that would for a second make me think, oh, this is old. This has been sitting on a shelf for 16 years. It's insane. Big punch. And this is signature classic Yankee Candle, old school Yankee Candle. This is what Yankee was all about. A big punch of baking spice, right? If they made something like this now, I'm sure they would tone it down. But those days when you were walking in the mall, grocery shopping, and you'd walk by Yankee Candle, you have some people be like, oh, wow, like, why didn't they close their doors? The smell was outrageous when you walked by Yankee Candle, but I was the kid walking by Yankee Candle saying, like, this is insane. Like, the Yankee Candle door, the door to the shop, which doesn't look like it does today, a big open space. It was, in many cases, an actual door that you opened, or like kind of like a Hallmark, right, with the glass windows. And you could smell it from like 30 feet away, maybe further. But big baking spice, big cinnamon stick, a little bit of nutmeg, I'm sure. We could even throw in some chai spices as well. In fact, this does kind of remind me of a really creamy, milky chai tea. So let's take some black tea, get some spices in there, get some whole milk in there, get a little bit of the classic, baking spices, but get a little of that cracked black pepper, the cardamom, and the coriander. Toast them up, grind them together, and we get, trying to work in reverse here. That is what comes through first, but let me start with the smaller things. Orange zest, right? So we got to think of the smaller things that are going into this cake. And these are really, really well thought out candles. I mean, there's a reason why this one was so popular and pulled on so many heartstrings, because it's so authentic. And I think because people love or they hate carrot cake, this one really spoke in volumes to people, because if you love it, it's not like you love apple pie, because everyone loves apple pie, I think. Anyway, but get some orange zest in there, a little bit of citrus spice coming through, vanilla extract. There's a wonderful butter component. You know, when you put like a dollop of butter on the top of pancakes or waffles, like Belgian waffles, and that butter, especially like in like a good diner, you know, like they're whipping that butter in the back. I don't know what else they're putting in it. Sometimes it just feels like this stuff should not be legal. This butter is just so good. It's probably MSG. But anyway, when that butter just kind of soaks in to especially those pancakes, and you get, the baking spices and that wonderful smell, that cakey smell of the pancake that's just absorbed this super salty butter concoction. When I smell this butter, I'm imagining this butter kind of just not being in the wet ingredients, but actually just like it's saturated through the cake like a sponge. And the cinnamon is coming through in a couple ways. The cinnamon stick, and I'm liking this new description that I'm having of cinnamon that's like past its prime. Past its prime makes it sound like it smells bad? No, it actually smells great. You know, that ground cinnamon that's in our spice rack or spice cabinet or pantry that's been there for way too long, the aroma becomes muted and it becomes a little bit more dusty. But there's something actually very nostalgic and pretty about that smell. Get a little bit of that. A little bit of that. I don't know why I said that like that. Again, that's the second time Creepy Shane came out today. I don't know why. And I'm going to say walnuts, but it's kind of a nut that doesn't really need to be classified. I mean, I'm happy with just saying a nuttiness because there's nothing astringent in here that would make me say walnut specifically or pecan, but walnuts, we use walnuts. Do you use walnuts in your carrot cake? There is a nutty note here, a nice toasted nut component that comes through. And authentic cake. It just smells warm and moist. It's mouth-watering. When our mouth waters, it's a involuntary reaction. You know, we smell something good, salivation happens, baby. Salivation happens. And when I smell this candle, salivation. You're getting a little bit of the little, I don't want to gross you out, the saliva that collects underneath your tongue, right? Your mouth is just getting ready to consume this. It just smells that authentic, smells so real. And something I was planning on mentioning was golden raisins in this candle, because there's a little bit of, there's sweetness, but don't mistake sweetness with fruitiness. There's a little bit of fruitiness here. Not a little bit, there's a good amount. I think it's just maybe not as easy to pick out because the spice is so big. So I was going to say golden raisin, but I'll be honest, I don't think I've ever really saw this little, like a ramekin of really dark sun-dried raisins right here. Kind of look like coffee beans. So I'm happy to go there. Golden raisins sounds good to me, but we can go with the darker raisins as well. And certainly last but not least, is that cream cheese frosting. We could say frosting and leave it alone, just in case any of you don't like the idea of cream cheese frosting. But man, that is what sets this over the edge. When you have a dish, is any bakers out there? If you have a sweet treat and it's a really spicy sweet treat, let's say you're making like gingerbread cookies, or a Joe Frogger cookies, in the comments below, if you know what a Joe Frogger is, don't Google it. If you know what it is, comment down below. A cookie, let's say, or a sweet treat that's got a lot of spices. How do you balance that out? How do you balance spice? Sweetness, sweetness, sweetness. This way you can have high intensity of spice, but it won't feel wacky on the palate, or on the nose for that matter. Because if you add the sweetness, it's like acid and sugar, same thing, right? If you take lemon juice and you drink lemon juice, you'd be like, that's horrible experience. I actually enjoy it. But if you just add a bunch of sugar into that lemon juice, suddenly it's actually very easy to drink that lemon juice. It's balance. That's what it's all about. Balance, that word echoes through our universe. But I think because of the level of sweetness, the frosting, the cream cheese frosting here, the sweetness from the cake, it balances out those old school, what you would expect back in the old days of Yankee Candle, that big bombastic baking spice experience. Although this is a candle that probably, would be toned down if they produced it today, maybe they wouldn't. I don't know. I think they do a pour of this every now and then. And I'm sure sooner or later they'll bring this back as a returning classic, favorite, treasure, whatever they call them now. But either way, I think the lesson to be learned here is that this is an unlit early millennium candle, 2004, 16 years old. It smells wonderful. It smells like it's right off the conveyor belt, the factory in Sal Deerfield. And man, I wish I had one that was lit, because I would love to burn this candle. I'd love to. Maybe not now, but maybe late summer, autumn, phase 1. Let's check in with you guys here. The golden age of Yankee in the malls. I remember Yankee at Crossgates in Albany. I know that location, or at least I know the mall. Back in the day, say 20 years ago, the feel was very different inside the store. I remember there was a warmer feeling to it, like being in a library or a study. Yes, right? Yes. If you don't know what Stephanie's talking about, she's absolutely right. When you walked into a Yankee Candle back in those days, it felt like you were walking into like someone's parlor, someone's lounge, someone's cigar lounge, like library, study. I think, Stephanie said it perfectly. They didn't have the bright, white, cool, fluorescent lights and the white walls. They had warmer light that threw, a nice soft yellow golden light all throughout the store. The stores had rugs. All the furniture was like a mahogany brown. The walls, wood paneling. It was an overall warmer experience. It felt like New England. It really, the aesthetic, although maybe wouldn't be as appealing to the masses today, the aesthetic really was true to walking into a New England boutique. You're just driving around Massachusetts, New Hampshire, Vermont, and you come across a candle store. That's what it felt like. And it was also the tone. It's like when you walk into Hallmark, right? There's something about when you walk into Hallmark that tells you, don't use this voice. Use this voice. Whisper. I don't know what causes that, what the psychology is behind that. But that's kind of what Yankee Candle was. You walked in and it was darker, it was calmer, and the associates would come up to you and be like, "How are you doing? Is there anything I can help you find today?" And you would go on to have these conversations about different aromatic experiences. And a huge shout out to Sandra. I was going to write Yankee Candle. I'm still going to do it. I just don't know if Yankee will ever really return a message about this particular situation. I met this wonderful woman in Santa Rosa, California, in Sonoma County, who worked at a Yankee Candle. And this would have probably been around like 2012, 2013. And I didn't live in Santa Rosa, but there was a shopping mall there, and I'd go there from time to time. So I would drop in and see her, and when Halloween would come around, she'd put my Halloween stuff aside. But she just had these amazing stories. Even if she was milking these stories, even if some of them were fibs, I don't care, man. Like, she was like the original candle enthusiast. I wish I knew her last name right now, but Yankee Candle, Sandra, circa 2012 to 2015, in Santa Rosa. She just had this way of making these conversations, these simple small talk conversations about candles, into stories that you would almost want to cry about. She was telling me once how her mother's deathbed. I mean, this is how well I knew her and how comfortable she was to say this, but also just say, she was a good storyteller, or say she was a good saleswoman. It's probably both. But she was saying at her mother's deathbed how her mother's favorite 2 Yankee Candles were Harvest and Spiced Pumpkin, and she'd burn 2 small jars together, and that's what she did her mother's deathbed. And she was telling that story, and she was tearing up. I was tearing up. We're sobbing together. And then we both kind of remembered and recalled that there was a candle that actually was a swirl candle of those 2 classic fragrances called Pumpkin Patch. So, like, we had, it was just when I come in and she's like, "Oh, we got more Pumpkin Patch. It's a rare candle and they don't make it anymore." And I remember she sold me a bunch of them. Again, she's probably a great saleswoman, but there's no question in my mind that she just had a great heart. She was a great storyteller, and she certainly was a candle enthusiast. And I just really wish I could just reach out to her all these years later and just be like, wow, it's like I still remember those conversations. And I have this YouTube channel, 2 of them, in fact, where, I'm kind of, people call me the candle guy when I walk into Yankee Candle now. And I wonder if a large part of that had something to do with her. Anyone here lucky enough to have Yankees Forest Glen? I don't. I know it. It's always up on eBay. It's just never at an affordable price. I think Brett from Philly Candleman may have a black band that's half burned, if you want to reach out to him. And has it ever been reissued as another name? I really don't think Yankee Candle repackages scents. There's some that smell very similar. And there's some that they've just blatantly changed the name or the concept. But Yankee Candle really doesn't, repackage candles. I'll stick to that. If someone can give me an example of where they think this Yankee Candle and this Yankee Candle is exactly the same, I'd love to have that conversation. A very constructive conversation. Talk about the autumn phases. Okay, autumn phase 1 is going to be anywhere from the beginning of August to mid-August to mid-September. And this is going to be the change of seasons. So I'm not going to go anywhere near baking spices yet. I have 3 phases of autumn. So no baking spices. I'm going to focus on freshness. I'm going to focus on things like pumpkin puree candles or honey candles, apple candles, fresh, fruity, vegetal, just everything that provokes the idea of that time of year, those atmospheric candles that paint the portrait of the summer coming to a close. So no cocktails, no poolside candles, no nautical themed candles, just the anything that will remind you of early harvest, or I shouldn't say, yeah, early harvest, or just the end or the beginning of the harvest season. I don't know what I'm trying to say. But you know what I mean, I think. Then autumn phase 2 is going to be Halloween. Halloween will start for me mid-September, and we can do pumpkin spice at that point, but I'm usually gravitating more towards spooky themes, the haunted hollows, the black magics, the witch's brew. I'm looking for things that are a little bit more whimsical, a little bit more nostalgic, whether it's something sweet like candy corn, or something really exotic like dreamy. Is it Dreamy Summer Nights? Even though that's clearly a summer candle, summer's in the name, but I feel like that Dreamy Summer Nights, I feel like I'm not saying that right. Or Black Magic it's kind of reminds me of this like Elvira, Mistress of the Dark kind of candle. It's just something that would be, something that's spooky in a fun way. A lot of resins and incense aromas. And as I get closer to Halloween, I'll shift into autumn phase 3, which becomes the bounty, the food. Introduce, let's welcome the spices. So that's when we get into the caramel pecan pies, we get into the apple pie, the spiced apples, the cranberry sauce, that's a great one that we were talking about. Berry crumble, which was a great one, which should be more of a summer candle, but I think it's a great autumn candle. Autumn leaves. Apple cider could be autumn phase 1. In fact, it probably should be, but if it's a heavily spiced apple cider, I would take that into autumn phase 3. So anything that's warm and brings you inside, especially closer to the kitchen, something that's got those wonderful smells of like chestnuts on the fire, and autumn wreath was a fantastic one, and harvest welcome was another that's gone, but that would be my autumn phase 1, phase 2, phase 3. And I do this with decorations as well. And I take that very seriously. Although Halloween mania, as far as candles are concerned, start as soon as 4th of July is over. Some of you guys are already talking about Halloween, but Halloween candle mania starts like July 5th. And it's just nothing but everyone talking about Halloween candles for months. But I do not burn any Halloween candles until the second week, the end of the second week of September. Jordan's saying, I'm guessing Jordan's talking about the carrot, the Yankee Candle sweet bunny carrot. Very intense when you burn. Thank you for using that word, intense. More of the carrot and the greens when lit. I'm so glad you said that, because I truly feel the same way using just the Aroma Prison. That was exactly my experience. I got a little bit of the spice too, although I couldn't classify it. And I never read the fragrance notes to that Yankee Candle, and I bet you wonder why I'm waiting. I broke my favorite baking pan. Dinner fail. Sorry, Lauren. We burned it yesterday. It has some sweetness. Yes, I think Would you classify that sweetness as something like warm and rich, like honey? Or would you classify that sweetness as something like fruity, like beets? Someone should start a thread about the Facebook group for the folks to post their theories on repackaging. Tag Shane. Very good idea, Stephanie. It could be a cool series for Shane to do videos on. Candle versus candle, are they the same? Yeah, I mean, I'm not saying I'm right that Yankee doesn't do this. I just want to be put in a situation. I have a lot of Yankee candles. I have a lot of experience with Yankee candles. And I've never really accused one candle of being a different candle. Candles have changed names. They've changed conceptually. Sometimes they give them a proprietary name for like one pour. But I don't know of any two that are the same. But that's a great idea, Stephanie. And even the same candle from 2 different years they have variances. So, I mean, that's a whole different topic. You know, one year it smells a little bit different than the next. What is exciting you the most in the next 3 to 6 months in terms of specific candles or new releases? Well, thank you, Kazra, and good to see you. I feel like I haven't talked to you in a while. You know, there's always this bittersweet thing when I was talking about Halloween coming around, because I know you guys want tons of content. There's tons of information that's leaking every day. But I also, you know, when I first started the Candle Enthusiast, I was calling Yankee Candles all over the country. I'm serious. I had a list of every outlet in the country, and I would call them probably twice a week. And back then, I could easily convince them to ship to me. That's how, I won't say the location, but that's how I got a case of, well, it wasn't a case, it was probably a dozen of the Haunted Hollow candles a month and a half before it was even released. And I was happy about this, but I was actually very sad about this. I didn't want to get them, but if they were leaking through the internet, I wanted to be the first person to talk about them. So I invested all that work. But, you know, I don't know if I really want to be reporting the candle news anymore, you know? Like, I just, you know, I just don't think it's hard enough to balance making candle videos and, you know, especially my adventure and travel videos that, you know, you know, and sometimes I'll hear that a candle is like 4 hours away and I'm like, God, should I drive? Should I get it? Should I not? And, it's stressful. So that's how it's bittersweet. It's fun, but I feel like it brings on a lot of work. So I think I'm interested to answer your question. You know, what's Kringle going to do this year? Are they going to change the fragrances? Are they just going to step down? They had like 16 options last year as far as Halloween fragrances. Are they going to make that smaller? Are they going to change the fragrances? Village Candle is something it's very exciting, because last year Village Candle had a trio set of Pumpkin Scarecrow, Haunted Mansion, and Ghost Cemetery. And those really were huge hits, especially as a collection. So Village Candle is something to look out for. And Witch City Wicks has a lot of fun stuff happening this year. They're switching up their Halloween line, and they're going to be doing a pre-order. And there might be a Candle Enthusiast Witch City Wicks collaboration. I don't know if it'll be before Halloween, but it's definitely something that's going to happen at some point. And if Nikki is in the house, Nikki and I have something maybe perhaps up our sleeves as well, Washington Wicks. It's the Memorial Day weekend where there's Yankee Candle's autumn preview, where they release 4 of the fragrances. And so that's kind of exciting as well. You know, this long stretch of summer, spring candles, it's nice to have that switch to autumn. I feel like it's the biggest contrast as far as moving from one season to the next. But for me personally, what's really exciting is the prospect of working with new candle companies. I've been, devoting a little bit more time to my correspondence with candle companies, big and small. And, there's a few luxury candle companies. I'm sure some of you can guess what company, but I'm a huge fan of. And I've had the chance to meet, I had a chance to speak with one of the representatives. And we spoke about working together. So getting into a little bit more of luxury style candles, but also diving into the world, trying to uncover a lot of these micro candle companies, these small batch candle companies that are out there in the world producing great candles, but maybe you haven't heard of them before. And I have a lot of Bath and Body Works, a lot of Bath and Body Works. I put up a handful of videos that's not even close to the amount of videos that are still to come, and a lot of Kringle candle and country candle content as well. Thank you for the question. Speaking of pumpkin patch, this year's release, new fragrance, old name. New fragrance, same name, completely different candle. I should have addressed that. I don't want to say that's true. I'm just saying, yeah, I think it's pretty clear that the base of, outside of the pumpkin spice and those earthy vegetation notes on that the 2019 pumpkin patch. Wait a minute. No, you're talking about this year. Last year was Trick or Treat. That was a new name. I'm losing my mind, guys. Trick or Treat was a new name, or an old name, new candle. Trick or Treat. It gets really confusing. Trick or Treat and Yankee Candle has a long history. And we'll talk about that when we get closer to Halloween. This year, pumpkin patch. So are you asking, will it be a blend of harvest and spice pumpkin? I certainly hope it's not, because that's the last thing I think that we need, right? I think most of us, correct me if I'm wrong, I think most of us, we like the classic fragrances. If we need a new pumpkin spice, we need a new harvest candle, we need a new autumn leaves candle. Well, autumn leaves is not, I don't think it's produced anymore, but you can get it. I think we know if we need one of those, we know which one to get, but we don't need ones that riff off the same idea. I think most of us, when we're looking at new candles, we want to see the future of Yankee Candle. Like, okay, Yankee, we know our history, we know Yankee's past, we know the company's history, but where are we going now? What are you going to show us now? So I'm always hoping these Halloween fragrances that are new, they're just not rehashes of the past. I just don't think we need them. There's just too many options for pumpkin spice, and pumpkin spice with apple, pumpkin spice with pastry, pumpkin spice with coffee. I mean, it's like, okay, we get it. Let's come up with new ideas. Let's push the envelope here. So I certainly hope pumpkin patch. I don't know how original we can go. I mean, if you have pumpkin in the name, you're going to have pumpkin spice, right? So I just hope that there will be at least one other one. But, it's kind of tough. You're painting yourself in a corner with a candle like that if you're trying to do something new. But then again, I was surprised with the Sweet Bunny Carrots, which is the most ridiculous name, Sweet Bunny Carrots candle. It's funny. Lauren says Trick or Treat was my favorite. Kringle candle. Halloween scent last year. Trick or Treat country candle was kind of that hot cocoa experience, right? Nice milk chocolate, powdery hot cocoa mix, marshmallow, goodness, a little bit of Hershey syrup in there maybe. Yeah, that was a good one. I'm glad I bought that because based on the fragrance notes, a lot of people skipped on that one, but I got my hands on it. It's very intense. I think I'm not sure which one you're talking about, Jordan. It could be a bunch of the ones that we're talking about. You're talking about a very powerful experience. I wouldn't be surprised if it was Witch's Cauldron. And John's saying, or worse, ghostly vanilla, graveyard berry, or haunted cherry. Trying to figure out what that's in reference to as well. Yankees, a vibrant saffron. Yes. That is one I never had a chance to talk about it, but you better believe it's on my shelf. It was a UK, I don't know how you say it properly, UK European release, exclusive. And that was like, was that around the same time as like what was the one? It was like, it was a really great candle. I just can't think of the name. Like a woman on the edge of a cliff doing like yoga. And it's like Serenity or something like that. And it's just like, yeah, very different from a classic Yankee Candle theme. Oh, I see what you're saying, John. Things that aren't Halloween, but they just have a different name. Yeah, it's like, so they just took like a cherry candle and, put a picture of Dracula on there and says like, I drink your blood, like I see what you're saying. That's always kind of disappointing. I hear you. I definitely hear you. I don't want to call any candle company out on that, but we know those who do that. All right, so let me read those fragrance notes of that Sweet Bunny Carrots, because I do have it pulled up. I think I do. Yeah, I do. Let me switch over so you guys can see. Bam, bam. So the Yankee Candle website, Sweet Bunny Carrots. Is anyone else just frustrated that Yankee Candle, do they use low resolution photos out of laziness, or they do this so people don't use them, like people like me who put them on their thumbnails of their videos? But like, look, I mean, the resolution on that picture. Not only that, but you can't even see the marbling of the wax. It just looks like it's a solid orange chunk. Sorry to be picking on you, Yankee, but come on. Visuals are important. All right, so about this fragrance, again, this is the Sweet Bunny Carrots, the 2020 release, or a refreshing blend infused with the essence of spring, sweet carrots with sugar beets, and a touch of citrus. Kind of a contradiction there, don't you think? Beets, citrus, carrots, and also using essence of spring. That's interesting. Citrus is what? Winter, and there's 2 harvests for citrus. And I guess, I don't know. When do you harvest carrots? I don't know. Or beets. I guess I shouldn't say that. Maybe it is a spring thing. Fragrance notes. Top notes of citrus. All right, so I'm trying to remember what I said. So citrus is there, because I was saying orange zest. I definitely didn't smell orange juice, right? So not citrusy tart, but zesty, spicy. So I hope that's what they mean. Watery notes. Okay, so a very vague description, but one that's effective, because yes, when you smell this candle, it does provoke the smell of, I think I said it multiple times. Like I said lettuce floating in a bath of cold water, cucumber water I mentioned, and just, the freshly washed carrot. Those images do come to mind. So although I'm not usually a fan of those vague notes, I'm kind of happy with that one. Mid notes of carrot blossom. Carrot blossom. Ooh. It's like a foodie term right there. I mean, do we simply mean like the carrot tops? Or do we mean the flower? Carrot blossom. Yankee, I'm not making fun of you. I'm not. I like that. Okay, carrot blossom. Cucumber, yeah, that's no big secret. Sugar beet, that wasn't a secret either. I heard that through the grapevine, that there was beets in this candle. And there's even a beet on the label, which I had never seen until this live stream. So I think what would be suggesting by saying sugar beet is kind of that earthy, fruity combination. Beets, obviously, yeah, these taste a little bit earthy. They're earthy like a Pinot Noir, right? If you've ever had a Pinot Noir, a good one. Or maybe one from a slightly warmer climate, a little bit more juicy, but you get this kind of contrast of earthy, very fertile soil meets black cherry. So I would always use beets as a description on Pinot Noirs. What fruit did I say? I said, maybe I should have went with cherry, black cherry. I said honeydew melon. There was a fruitiness there. I just really couldn't define it. And last is musk. Yeah, I always seem to not go there. I usually go down the list, and I commonly don't address wooden notes or musky notes. And just by putting musk there doesn't give us, I shouldn't say me, it doesn't give us much information. What kind of musk? Musky what? Or something musk. What kind of musk? Are we talking floral musk, wooden musk? Are we talking about leather musk? Are we talking about like a deep rosy musk? Yankee Candle even once used fruity musk, and I'm like, what fruit is musky? But I like the fact that they gave an adjective. So there's that. I recommend it. I'm glad I bought it. I will burn it. Let's switch back. Boom. Check in with you guys. And then we're going to do this. Let's do this Q&A thing. I never had Serenity, but that sounds right. Yeah, that was a UK release. It was gifted to me, and unfortunately, I still have it, but it's broken. The jar broke in the shipment. I did Goose Creek Trick or Treat. Excellent candle. Maybe we'll do a little bit of Goose Creek this year. I've reached out to them a couple times. I don't know if they just don't have a marketing team, or they're just definitely not into... I'm sure they have a marketing team, but I mean a marketing team that does PR, or if they're just maybe you're not a fan of doing PR, sending candles out. There's just so many Halloween candles that I don't want to be spending thousands of dollars, which I've came pretty close to the past couple of years. I don't want to be spending thousands of dollars for candles that I'll never get around to burning. I think it means sugar beet, not beetroot. Beetroot, sugar beet. You got me stumped, Tony. I'm trying to think of what the difference is. I'm not sure. Beetroot. What is a beetroot? Beetroot. I know it as a last name. I'm going to do a little bit of research on that. Thank you for bringing that to my attention, because I definitely don't use that word. Yankee Candle should bring back the Sunday brunch collection. I agree, Chris, but it's one of those things. If candles are available, people don't buy them, and when they take them away, everyone wants them back. And sometimes, it's fun to have these one-time, one-release candles. I think a great example of that was the 2016 Cookie Swap collection and the Winter Wonderland collection. They brought that back a couple times, and it kind of ruined it, because the first year it was so exciting, and they were selling out. And I remember one of the candles, I think there were 7 of them, Dream by the Fire, was like selling for $150 on eBay because everyone wanted the entire collection. And there was just something fun about having the entire collection. But then they brought them all back, and they didn't do as well. So I agree with you emotionally, but from like a Yankee Candle standpoint, I understand. I understand, and I hope that they do these one-time release candles and collect data about what the customers like, and maybe come out with other candles that are similar. But to re-release them this soon after 1 year, I think would be just kind of jumping the gun. I didn't really like Bakery Air as much as I thought I would. Definitely, you must be answering a question. Bakery Air, that's the one with the little puppy dog in the window, right? Yeah, I never was too excited about that. Now, we do know what beetroot is in America. Well, I know the word, but I don't know what it is. Beetroot. Okay, let's go into to do this Q&A. How about that? Sorry that the pace may be going very slow today, and I'm just showing you the top of my head, which I'm realizing now is very rude of me. But keeping my eye on my phone, so if you hear the noise, don't be weirded out, because last week I lost audio and video, and people were texting me saying, Shane, fix it, and I was ignoring it. Okay, so we're on the Facebook group. We have the questions. What else can we talk about? Okay, this is something I missed. Lunar Light Candle Company. I said that we were going to have the winners of the giveaway this week. I'm going to postpone this until next week, because I spoke with Alex from Lunar Light Candle Company, and we just want to give a little bit more time for me to promote this giveaway. I didn't even do an Instagram post, so I want to promote this giveaway, and I want to give you guys more ways to participate. But if you have any questions about this giveaway or this company, make sure you check out my last week's live. It's an unboxing video. The thumbnail is me opening a box. You can't miss it. And so check that out. And in the description section, it'll give you all the details on how to participate. We have a Mummy's Tomb candle that we're giving away, and a Dracula's Castle candle. And both of these were seriously awesome and emotionally effective candles. Really pulled me in emotionally as far as like the storytelling goes. So a big shout out to Lunar Light Candle Company. Make sure you follow them on Instagram. Find out what they're all about. Very small candle company, but making some great candles. A little promotion for GoFundMe. I'm not pushing this too hard, guys, but this is something that I need to do, and I hope that everyone is understanding that, let's put it this way, in 1 year, my revenue from Google. Just in case anyone think YouTubers have a lot of money, I think everyone knows that I'm a modest YouTuber. But even if you're 100,000, 500,000 plus YouTuber, you're certainly not making a large money from advertisements. For example, I think the best example I always give, my Lizzie Borden is the most successful video as far as views that I've ever made, the Lizzie Borden Overnight Challenge. In the years that's been posted, I've accumulated about $47. $47 from that video. That video cost me in the ballpark of $800 to make. So my point is, I know that we are going through a rough time right now, and I don't want to make it sound like I'm promoting merchandise and asking for pledges and donations. I don't want my intentions to be in the wrong place. I just want to make sure that I follow through with my word. I promised you guys great videos, and I've been working hard the past 3 years to really get to a place where I could be pumping out these videos that I've always wanted to make. But we're just, fortunately or unfortunately, I'm in a situation where I still need help. I need help funding these things. And it's the hardest part of being a YouTuber. I'll go out there, I'll spend the night in a haunted forest, I'll spend the night in a cemetery, I'll do any of those things. But asking for money or asking for financial support for the channel, not for me. It's not to pay my bills. It's to fund future videos that are not me just sitting here showing you candles, where we're out there doing stuff. It's really something I want to aspire to, and hopefully one day have a big enough following where I don't have to reach out and ask for financial support. So all of the ways you can support the Candle Enthusiast, including t-shirts, merchandise, mugs, GoFundMe, PayPal, Amazon wishlist, any of those things, make sure you look in the description section below. And a brand new t-shirt design posted yesterday. Can anyone tell me the inspiration for this new logo? Put that in the comments below. First one to figure that out, and leave that in the comments below. I don't know. I'll give you big props, big high five. Who can tell me what that's inspired by? I think it looks pretty cool. Definitely a little bit retro, a hint. Arcade vision. Maybe that's a little bit too much of a tip or a hint. But I purchased mine yesterday in what color? I don't know what the color is called, but it was this color right here. And Spreadshirt.com is still shipping candles during these troubling times. So really good for them. I think they know that a lot of creators, a lot of entrepreneurial people, artistic people, really rely on Spreadshirt as a source for them to create the content that they put out into the world. So it's good that they're still doing what they can to fulfill shipments. So if you want to do a little bit of shopping, I'm going to give you the address. It's thecandleenthusiast.spreadshirt.com. But of course, you can find that link in the description below. Fantastic. Do we got anything else to promote? Patreon, but we did that last week. I'll talk about that some other time. Let's go over here and answer some questions. All right. Let me switch back. I don't think you need to see the page, right? All right. I like this, taking it slow. I'm usually trying to talk at the speed of light. But you know what? We have nowhere to be. At least I don't. All right. Let me just check to see. Ooh, I'm seeing a lot of guesses. 80s, Atari, Pac-Man, and then, bam, Ray comes up with the correct answer. He also said in television, not television, but in television. I wonder if that was is that a different, like an international name? ColecoVision, which was a predated. I'm not quite sure of the history. I think Nintendo had part ownership in ColecoVision, and ColecoVision is the correct answer. It was Atari's big competitor, and eventually Atari would come out to be the winner. It's kind of like Betavision versus VHS, and DVD versus, what was the other one? DVD. And there was another one when DVDs came out, not laser discs. I'm forgetting what it was, but there's always multiple services, and one always ends up winning. But the nice part of that story is, even though ColecoVision was not the success story, Nintendo NES soon after became the international, everyone knows NES, and not only the system, but the games. Anyway, I just thought it looked retro. I was having a nice chat with the moderators of the fan group from Facebook yesterday, and we talked about some retro ideas, and I worked on that for a while, and I'm really happy with it. I was so happy with it, I purchased one immediately. Anyway, let's do this. And Ray is going to teach you guys a little bit about television, and I will read your comments later, Ray, because I got to get to these Q&As. But thank you for sharing that. First question. Lauren asks, how do you plan on celebrating Easter in quarantine? Well, it's not going to be much different than it is right now. I'll probably cook. I've plugged in at my mother's, what do you call those freezers? It's like one of those coffin freezers. And I just bought a bunch of meats because I just don't know how long this is going to go on. So got some turkeys, got lots of beef, lots of chicken, and some pork loins, and pork tenderloins as well. So I'll probably do something in that realm, like a pork tenderloin, cook dinner, and, kind of sad because I have family that usually congregates for Easter, but I just don't think we'll be seeing that this year, unfortunately. But cooking usually is a fun way for me to celebrate any kind of holiday. And there's other part of that question. What is your favorite Easter candy? Reese's peanut butter eggs with Cadbury eggs coming in a close second. What is the coolest thing you ever got in an Easter basket? A bottle of wine. 2008 Trefethen Pinot Noir out of the... not Stag's Leap. Out of the... I'm trying to think of the region in Napa Valley, and I'm drawing a blank. I can't think of the specific region within Napa Valley, but it's kind of odd to have a Pinot Noir come out of Napa Valley, but that 2008 was amazing. It was really good. And I did get a bottle for Easter. Jason asks, hey Shane, have you burned Water Garden yet? No, but I have it actually right here. I have all of those fragrances, and I keep telling you I'm going to do videos on them, and I haven't done them yet. I apologize. My fiance and I were burning it last night, and we both thought that it bore a striking similarity to one of our favorites, Stormwatch. Uh-oh. Do you get any of that? Well, that's interesting. Because I do have it. I can't water garden. Wasn't someone just talking about this? Where's my knife? Knife. Yeah, well, yeah. I mean, I think that's if you're listening, Jason. I definitely think so. I mean, I think it would be a far cry to say this is like a dupe or I hate that word. I'm sorry, guys. I hate that word, dupe, but or a repackage. But I think what you're picking up on is that this is following a similar formula, a formula that's common, a formula that really works. Top notes of citrus, which Stormwatch is all about, right? It's you get that citrus helps our minds paint the portrait of clean, fresh air. And then you have the mid notes of these temperate or subtropical florals. So those florals that are really, pungent and powerful, that reminds us of like the coast or the beach or anything nautical, anything like lilies or hibiscus, something that just when you smell it, it makes you feel like you're by the water. Florals and citrus together always, it's the language of home fragrance. Citrus and florals together creates fresh air. And then with, that, wooden, musky bass note to really create the foundation. I want to smell Stormwatch. I mean, I'm very familiar, but this is really creamy too. No, that's not it. Okay, that's one. Okay, let's see. So for me, that's much greener from the get-go. Green grass, musky. Where this is creamy, coconutty, not coconutty, but you think of like coconut shampoo, coconut hibiscus shampoo, lotion with coconut hibiscus. It's more beachy. Even though it's showing a picture of a river. Yeah, where this has more of that not greenhouse effect, but it has the effect of smelling like a greenhouse. Stormwatch. This is a 2017 pour. And I'm not sure when these came out. These may have been a 2009. You might have seen this before. This is, Stormwatch was originally released as an unscented candle. If you don't, you may not believe me, but that is very much true. There was I don't know what year, but it was meant to be a candle that was unscented if you lost your electricity, Stormwatch. And it was unscented for I don't know how long, but then they actually turned it into something. But this was a weird format that came out. I think maybe 2009, maybe much earlier. And it's different. So, going back to the point of repackaging, I think the bigger topic is the candles that don't change the names and are slowly reformulated. I say this every year, that Witch's Brew is slowly getting sweeter and sweeter and sweeter and sweeter every year. A lot of those myrrh and cinnamon notes of Witch's Brew, which is the other the myrrh and even like maybe this is the myrrh, but the kind of like the licorice root aroma, like the black licorice part of Witch's Cauldron keeps decreasing, and it keeps getting more like Coca-Cola forward. So I do think Yankee does reformulate, but then you also have to factor in how these candles change, how they age over time. But this is definitely something that's reminds me something closer to Bay Breeze. And I don't think I haven't. These are the only 2 storm watches that I have. I don't have another old version. So I hope I think you brought up a really good point, Jason. I hope I did what I could to answer. Rachel asks, when you go on your adventures, do you ever take photos as well? If so, it might be fun to if you did a show and tell live stream where you could tell us about the photographs while showing us, or tell us about the trips while showing us the photographs. I apologize for my broken speech. I do take photographs, but I usually do more like video clips. Meaning like I'll do video clips that I'll never use. So I have like hundreds, if not thousands, of video clips on like my cell phone while I'm traveling, where I'm like vlogging to myself. Like I know I'm not making a video, but I just got to figure out, every time I go back and I go through my phone or go through my hard drives and I find this old footage, I'm like, some of this is hilarious. Like some of this is really funny, or some of this is just like, it really, like when you piece it all together, like in the moment when I was recording those videos, I didn't realize like how silly the situation was. But now that, I look back on it and I knew what happened the day after and the day after that, or if I piece them together, they're really fun to watch. So I got to figure out if I'm going to take these old videos and make them into like in-betweens. But it does remind me of this. If I can show you this real quick, on patreon.com/The Candle Enthusiast. It's one of those ways I was saying you could help support my videos. One of the tiers is what I call the flash drive of exclusivity. That's a ridiculous name, but it's exactly what it sounds like. Exclusive content, lost footage, bloopers, deleted scenes, photos, newsletter, so on and so forth. All my Photoshops that I've done, things that I think are cool, I think are relevant, but somehow is just never posted or not put anywhere. And I'm also going to be just doing like exclusive vlogs as well. I don't have many of these. I'm kind of capping these flash drives off at a certain number, but I'm going to produce one a month and ship it out monthly for those people who meet that tier level on patreon.com. I don't want to rub that in because I don't like the idea of having people pay for content. I don't think that's what I'm doing. I'd rather prefer to think of it as a thank you for pledging or donating to the Candle Enthusiast. But I will also be doing more in-betweens as well. I have so much unused footage. Great question, Rachel, and a great segue for something I wanted to talk about. Do you think Yankee will bring back Trick or Treat and Sleepy Hollow candles this Halloween? I love them. Trick or Treat, says Laura. Trick or Treat from last year? They might. I think they'll probably have, I would say yes, because if I had to guess, and I wouldn't even be surprised if they have Haunted Hollow as well. because I just don't think that they're going to be promoted. Like, you're not going to see them pushing them that much. But I would predict a lot of them would be in the stores. Now, Sleepy Hollow, I think you're talking about the Haunted Hayride candle. Haunted Hayride or Haunted Hollow, not Sleepy Hollow. But Haunted Hollow is one I know a lot of people wanted to come back. You know, Brett from Philly Candleman and I were talking. And I was telling him, I was like, oh, for April Fools, I was going to Photoshop like a large 22-ounce house warmer Yankee Candle jar, Haunted Hollow, and say, like, Yankee's releasing this for this year. And just as an April Fool's joke, but I think some of you guys would have killed me if I had done that. But it would have been funny for me anyway. Okay, Francine, big apologies for Francine. I snubbed her last week purely by accident. And she says, hi, Shane Carlson. Using my full name. Thank you, Francine. Hi, Shane. Not a non-Monty Python question this time. What is your least favorite scent of candle across all of the brands? I am burning a sour apple tart scented candle that just smells like I have boiled vinegar. Oh, God. Also, what is the first scent you think of when you remember? Okay, I see where that question's going. Let me ask the first one. The worst candle across all brands. Who do I want to pick on? Worst. Nikki from Washington Wicks is probably, I don't know if she's still here, but she's like, hope she's not like, he's looking in my section of his collection. I'm not going to say, Nikki did not make my worst candle. And I don't see why I would have it if it's my worst. Okay, I think I have a good one to talk about. It's just not going to be something that is really creative, because when it's a wild fail, which is very rare for me to say, like, you know, Yankee Candle or some other company comes out with a disastrous candle. I don't think those are very harsh words, but the Mantown collection, I don't even remember what year this was now, but there was the Mantown, Man Cave, the Riding Mower, First Down, On Tap, the Bacon, and I'm sure, and then there was Movie Night, which was, actually really loved that one. And I think that was a part of the same collection. I think it came out one year and then they expanded the collection the next year. The On Tap, which is obviously the beer on, draft, the draft beer, I should say, is just, it smells like beer, like just, let me just say it, like it smells like Budweiser. Like this isn't like some really nice Belgian beer or, a fantastic IPA or some kind of ale. It smells like just beer, special $2 at the bar can of Budweiser, Bud Light. But the reason why it affects me so poorly is because in college I worked as a bar back in not a bar, but a nightclub. And we're talking 3 stories, and there was a roof, which would be a 4th story in the summertime. And my job was just to collect all of the beer bottles and dump them out, bins and hundreds of bins and bins and bins every single night. And I would just reek of beer, which was obviously very dangerous to be driving. I wasn't intoxicated, but I smelled like beer if I ever got stopped. But that smell of stale beer, behind the bar top, on my clothes, when I smell that On Tap Yankee Candle, it's just like, it brings me back to those days. And there's fun parts of college, but those were not, I wouldn't say working at that club was a highlight. So I hope that works. And then you said, what is the first scent you think of when you remember an elementary school classroom? Clay, Elmer's glue, Elmer's paste, Fig Newtons, Crayola crayons, Teddy Grahams, pencil eraser tops, pencil shavings, dusty books, like children's books. And yeah, I think that should do it. Are you considering making a candle? Nice. I'm seeing your comment here, Francine, about the twist method. You're welcome. Anything? It's the small little tips that help. Amanda asks, what are some knock your socks off scents? Now, does that mean fragrances that I think about these questions too much? Is this like fragrances that knock my socks off because they're like, everyone's got to buy this and they got to buy this now, this is amazing? Or are you talking about like, you like this and it's out of control? It's like you lit a fire, the fireworks in your living room. Like you realize, like balsam and cedar Yankee Candle back in the day, when you lit that in your living room and you're like, whoa, I rather need to blow this out, or I need to get a living room that's 5 times the size of my living room. So knock your socks off. I'm going to take that as you're saying like things that people should experience. Yeah, I mean, I think instead of giving you a candle, I'm gonna mention I have one candle company. Can I mention more? I'll give a plug to Village Candle. Village Candle's doing really fun stuff now. I came out last year and I said like they were really up in their game like back in August when they put a collection out, and then they followed that up with the Halloween collection, and I had been working with them just a little bit beforehand, and there was just this systematically like, whoa, these are getting more interesting. I mean, they've always had good candles, but they're just getting more interesting and on point as far as the concept matching the aroma. So I would really keep your eyes on Village Candle, what they're doing. It does sound like they retooled the company. I don't know if they've expanded. I don't know if they've switched over to a different ownership. I don't know what's going on, but they do seem to have people I used to know there that are not there any longer, and but they're always very, very kind, and I hope to work with them, and I hope to have a tour video one of these days. But to answer that question, Votivo. Votivo is the candle company that it's what I would call affordable luxury. It's a luxury candle, but it's not like $500 a candle. It's not Tom Ford. It's not Diptyque. These are affordable candles. You can get a Votivo candle for $30. Is it small? Yeah, but is it really powerful, and is it really unique, and is it made of really incredibly high quality fragrance oils and essential oils and high quality wax? Yes. Do you need to burn it for 5, 6, 7 hours to have it fill up your room? No. So my advice is, if you're wanting to like knock something that's going to knock your socks off, and you don't want to risk that much money, take it to Votivo. They have a large collection of their classic fragrances, and then they have sub collections that progressively get a little bit more expensive, but their holiday collections are fantastic. They come in these beautiful boxes, and they need boxes because if you just had the candle, you wouldn't even have to light it. They're so powerful to smell. If anyone remembers the candle that I evaluated in my Norman Rockwell video when I was staying at the Red Lion Inn, that was a Teak by Votivo. And that, to me, is still the classic lounge, cigar lounge, study, library candle. You know, it doesn't smell like tobacco, but it just has this beautiful smell of being in a room that is both sophisticated but old and mature. You know, the wood qualities, the wooden walls, the paper, the floor, the furniture in general. So Votivo definitely. They had a collection called Society Collection. I don't think they make it anymore, but if you maybe can hunt down some of those, really, really good stuff. Okay. I'm a talker today. How did you get into Yankee candles? Did you find them on your own, or were you introduced to them by someone else, like family and friends? I've always known Yankee Candle. I think like everybody, I've always known Yankee Candle. I grew up with Yankee Candle. My father loved Yankee Candle. My mother hated Yankee Candle. Not Yankee Candle, but she hated scented candles. She hated anything fragrance, home fragrance. She just gets bad allergies. So I think, you know, when I would go to spend time with like my aunts and other family, or go over to friends' houses, the whole idea of home fragrance really intrigued me because it wasn't something that I found at home. So Yankee Candle is something I've always been fond of, and I did manage not to have my own Yankee Candles when I was a kid, but to have them around the house. My father had a cabin in central New York. I guess central New York is going to have to work. I don't know if that's the right way to describe it, but he had a cabin, and they'd have candles up there. And there's just all of these warm feelings attached to specifically Yankee Candle. And then, I think, you know, around high school, got back, you know, I didn't get back into it, but I started buying my own, really took it seriously. You know, I thought it was something really cool, and then I stopped for a while, and then I rekindled my relationship with Yankee Candle probably in about 2011. It's really when I started what is now my collection. Is just, I bought one, and I'm like, this is great, I love it. I was living in California, and it was making me feel like I was at home, so I'm like, let me get another one, let me get another one, let me get another one. Before I knew it, I had a legal pad filled with all of the Yankee Candles I needed to get. And it got a little out of control, but I think 2012 is really when the candle enthusiast inside me was born. And like anything else that I'm interested in, I just have to learn everything I can about it. So I try to learn as much as I could about the company and the company's history. Stephanie, do you feel like Reese's peanut butter eggs / cups have changed in flavor over the years? I'm not laughing at you, Stephanie. I'm laughing at how awesome the question is. I feel like they have. I feel like the peanut butter flavor was more intense back in the day. I feel like they don't have the saltiness that they used to. There's more high fructose corn syrup. There's more high fructose corn syrups. There's more sweet now, is what she's saying. Again, it's not the way she's typing, it's the way I'm reading. I mean, I guess the first question is, I'm thinking, you know, are they still using real chocolate? Most chocolate companies, except for like, you know, Hershey's and Snickers, or the M&M Mars Corporation, but most others are not using real chocolate anymore. Like, you know, Butterfingers is not real chocolate, which I don't think anyone's surprised by that. Baby Ruth is not real chocolate. So all of Nestle's products just mock chocolate. So that's my first question. And then the peanut butter, I just feel like when the ratios are off, like when you do get the big eggs, they have a tendency. I can't believe this is. I'm actually coming up with an answer to this, but I think it's true. I think they have a tendency of drying out really quick. It becomes like sheetrock sometimes in the center of the eggs, and I think we all experience this if we had like Reese's peanut butter cups, the minis, for like Christmas, and we didn't finish them, so you put them away for next year, and then you bring them back out, and you're like, Reese's peanut butter cups, and you eat one, and you're like, this isn't something not right here. Like Reese's peanut butter cups don't have a great shelf life, and but it's interesting that you say that, because whenever I do treat myself to something like chocolate like that, I love it when there is something like a holiday attached to it. This way, I know that it was produced recently. Because otherwise, just a Reese's peanut butter cup, it could have been sitting there on the shelf in the gas station for 2 years. You never know. Maybe there's a date on it that I should be looking for. But I hear your frustration, and I like the rant part of your question, because it seems like something that you're very passionate about, and I feel like we should be passionate about many things, including Reese's peanut butter cups. And it looks like that is it. Somebody was typing. Francine says, yay, thank you for the great answers. I can totally understand the beer smell. I'm like that with bourbon due to similar life experiences. The school memory of scents was spot on. I always instantly think of a blend of yellow paint on all of the cinder block walls and the school glue. Both kind of have that sweet stink to them. Thank you again for the great time. I look forward to Smell It Sundays. Stay safe and well. Thank you, Francine. All right, folks. Well, this has been fun. I want to make sure that I've covered everything. Make sure you come back and check out this link. I want to see if you guys are interested in this. This is Blue Bottle Coffee. Like I said, they're offering free shipping right now, which is usually not cheap, because they really only ship out of 2 places in the country. But they're offering free shipping, and if you use my customer code, it's 10% off your entire purchase, as long as you spend $20, which it's kind of impossible not to spend $20. But if you do that, I get $10 credited to my account. I promise to use all of that credit to buy coffee, especially some of the ones that are fancy, right, for these live streams. It just depends on you if you guys want to see coffee content or not. But know at least that Blue Bottle is a company I don't buy exclusively from, but I've been buying from them continuously for 5, if not 6 years. In fact, this was the coffee I just received. I'm not going to try to pronounce that right now, even though I did. It's a Guatemalan coffee, single origin, but it's the family name. Huhutenango. I can't. I'm not going to be able to say it. But check out the taste notes here: pistachio, coffee, orange, meringue, dark chocolate, lemon zest, and vanilla. And let me tell you, okay, maybe that is a little bit like aggressive for fragrance notes on coffee. I had a cup this morning and a cup yesterday, and it was very tasty stuff. So yeah, it's going to be in the description below if you want to find that link. Also come over to the Facebook fan group. I want to thank everybody for joining in this week. Make sure we have that new design there, ColecoVision. I never know what I'm going to end up showing you guys. Also, at Spreadshirt, they still have some bandanas in stock, and I know everyone's going crazy trying to find masks, and now that even bandanas are selling out. Well, they still have them. So I just kind of designed one of these bandanas with the Candle Enthusiast logo, just in case you want that. It's a pretty decent bargain too. That's there. And I showed you the flash drive. And yes, make sure you swing over to the Facebook fan group to join what has become the Candle Enthusiast community. It's not about me. It's not even necessarily just about candles. It's really just a friendly spot to, make a bunch of friends and have good conversations, and where things stay positive and enthusiastic. So take my word for it that it's a fun place to hang out. So words of wisdom. I always try to have some kind of words of wisdom to close these videos. Look, I know things are difficult right now for everybody. Just I think I have to really just echo what I said last week, and that is, as bad as things are and as scary as things are, really, I think everyone should be taking this time, if they can, to focus on what they can do, that they've wanted to do, that they've always had the pleasure to do, but never had the time. As long as you can do it in your house. I'm going to start working on meditation. I don't know anything about meditation. People have asked me, Shane, do you meditate? I'm like, no, I don't really know. I don't know anything about it. Well, perfect time, right? Read up on the topic. I always want to read. I want to draw. I never have time. Well, this is a great time to do that. So try to better yourself and try to help others around you better themselves, is what I'm trying to say. If you find yourself in a position where you're locked up, and those of you who are actually out and about, running the world when it's this scary, I mean, just, remind yourself that, even though it may seem like a lot of folks may not be appreciating your work, your efforts, and the fact that you probably may have a lot of anxiety to be leaving your house, leaving your loved ones at home, and having to come back into your house and worrying about what you're bringing along with you. Just know that, remind yourself that, yes, if not everybody, there's a large percent of the country, the world, that is really thankful for all of the work you're putting forth, not just for what you're doing for us, but for what you're doing for yourself, your family, your children, so on and so forth. Just be strong and try to eradicate, to eliminate, to expel fear from your life. There's every reason to feel concerned and alarmed. I get that. But as long as we're doing everything we can, if I'm doing everything I can, lending a hand, helping my family, helping myself, making sure I'm staying safe, if I'm doing all of those things, I know I'm doing as much as I possibly can do. And then with that, fear is conquered, right? So as long as we're doing everything we can let fear go, because fear is not going to get us anywhere. So take that for what you will, and really, and sincerely, thank you for just the kindness, the friendship, the support that you show me. And even during times like these, you guys don't go anywhere, and it's great. It's like, it's great just to pop on a live and have all these familiar faces. I haven't spoke to a person face to face in a very long time, but I feel like I talk to dozens, if not hundreds, of people on a daily basis via the Candle Enthusiast and social media. So really, you guys really helped me out, and have personally helped me out with this situation. So if you need anything, please don't hesitate to reach out. If there's anything I can do to say thank you for the kindness and the generosity. All right, folks, have a wonderful Sunday. I will be seeing you soon. This week we'll bring some Crinkle Candle content, but mainly more Bath & Body Works. We have a lot of Bath & Body Works edited candle evaluations to be posted this week. I'll also be posting throwback videos from the main channel, the Candle Enthusiast. I try to mix them in because I want to migrate them all onto this new channel. So I'm just going to periodically, maybe once a week, take an old video from the first channel and post it here on the second channel, hoping that it's relevant, even though it's an old video. Have a wonderful day. Please leave any questions in the comments below, and I will be seeing you folks soon. But until then, be good, will you? And happy Easter for those of you who celebrate this religious holiday. Stay safe, be good, be healthy, and just be kind. Can't go wrong with kindness. Talk to you soon.